Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavad-Gita shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7, What Prahlad Learned in the Womb, text number 39. 49. I got that right. Glasses aren't as good as they used to be. Sarvesham api bhutanang Sarvesham api bhutanang Harir Atmeshvara Priya Harir Atmeshvara Priya Bhutair Mahadbi Svakritai Bhutair Mahadbi Svakritai Kritanang Jiva Sangjitaha Kritanang Jiva Sangjitaha Sarveshang api bhutanang Harir Atmeshvara Priyaha Bhutar Mahadbi Svakritai Kritanang Jiva Sangitaha Sarvesham of all Api certainly Bhutanang living entities Hari the Lord who mitigates all the miseries of the living entity. Atma, the original source of life. Ishvara, the complete controller. Priya, the dear. Bhutai, by the separated energies. The five material elements. Mahadbi, emanating from the total material energy, the Mahat Tattva, Svakritai, which are manifested by himself, Kritanam, created, Jiva Sangitaha, who is also known as the living entity. Since the living entities are expansions of his marginal energy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanara Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the soul and super soul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of his energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear, and he is the supreme controller. Responsively, The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the soul and the supersoul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of His energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear, and He is the supreme controller. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifested by His different energies: the material energy, the spiritual energy, and the marginal energy. He is the original source of all living entities in the material world, and He is situated in everyone's heart as a supersoul. Although the living entity is the cause of his various types of bodies, the body is given by material nature according to the order of the Lord. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudrani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad-Gita 18:61. The body is just like a machine, a car, in which the living entity is given a chance to sit and move according to his desire. The Lord is the original cause of the material body and the soul, which is expanded by his marginal energy. The Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of all living entities. Prahlad Maharaj therefore advised his class friends and sons of the demons to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead again. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj is discussing with his class friends, just like Krishna was explaining to Arjuna the temporal nature of the body, the temporal nature of family, relatives, everything which is manifest in this world has a beginning, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles and dies. Everything has that cycle. And Krishna was explaining to Arjuna also that prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvashaha, that you are not the doer of activities. Things are already in motion. So like all of us have the particular material body that we find ourselves in. When you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you think, oh, this is my vehicle, this is my body. And we all have desires, we all have different aspirations, ideas of how to become happy in this world, so we're always scheming, planning, and adjusting things so that we're all, happy and get our quota, our due quota. But the illusion in material life is that Mamangsa philosophy, Govardhan Leela is coming, so when little Krishna Giridhari, was telling Nanda Maharaj that no, you just worship the Supreme Lord. You don't need to do this type of worship for the demigods, and because the philosophy that if you just work hard, then the results are destined to come. But Prabhupada often gives the example that two people of equal caliber intelligence, ability, they both strive in the same way to make their fortune, and one becomes totally bankrupt and a loser, ends up on the street, and the other one could maybe have millions of crores of rupees and have fantastic wealth. It's not that that person was more capable than the other person, but it's very difficult to believe that actually we have a certain amount of destiny, karmana daiva nitrena. And we're all struggling from one life to another in this world, many worlds, from Abrahma Bhuvanaloka, Punar Avaratano Arjuna, from the highest planet where people are thinking, if I am good and I'm religious, I go to church, I can go to heaven. And there's so much enjoyment there. Different religions have different philosophies, but the ultimate end of religion, economic development, is liberation, that they want to become free from the bondage of material life, but without knowledge, they don't understand that even heavenly life is temporary. Life in a so-called beautiful palatial building with a wonderful husband or wonderful wife and many little children. They don't scream too much. They're very nice, obedient. They love you when you're older. They always remember you. No, but all these things, the dream of material happiness and success is what it's actually made out to be. It's a dream. So Prahlad Maharaj was explaining to all his friends, why are you wasting time making plans how to become happy in this world? Because whether happiness and distress, matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nityas stiti kshashva bharata. We have to learn to tolerate in Vrindavan. So much heat is there in the summer, but you don't stop cooking. In the winter time, sometimes very cold, you don't stop coming to the Mangal Artik and getting up early and doing our duties. We see that the austerities are there. So happiness comes when you stop trying to become happy and just resolve that Jivera Swaruphoy Krishna Nichadas, I am servant of Krishna. It's hard to give up our egos. We all have ego. It's hard to give up our identification and our self-pride. But when we realize to some extent that we're servants of Krishna, and I'm meant to serve Krishna enthusiastically with determination, but the end result is not in my hands. You know, whether this will bring me happiness, and then we see that distress is coming. Whenever we're striving for happiness, if it doesn't come to our expectation, then immediately we feel let down and depressed. But if you're simply thinking that my duty is to work for Krishna, to serve Krishna enthusiastically, and then the results are in Krishna's hands. Just cantos earlier, Dhruva Maharaj, he was insulted by his stepmother, Suruchi. He was not allowed to sit on the lap of King Uttanapada. This is in Satya Yuga, great age. Life was 100,000 years, and they had many good qualities. In Kali Yuga, people are short in good qualities, very intolerant, easily angered. But Dhruva Maharaj became very upset when he was not allowed to sit on the father's lap, and she told him that unless you perform austerities, you leave that body and take birth from my womb, you'll never have an opportunity to have a kingdom. So he was a young child, very bewildered, and his mother Suniti told him that actually Suruchi did you a favor. She gave you good advice that you have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, worship Him, then all success will come about. But he had an idea that I want a kingdom better than my father Uttanapada, better than my grandfather Swayambhuva Manu, better than my great-grandfather Lord Brahma. So he wanted something greater than what Lord Brahma has, and he's the creator of the whole universe under Krishna's guidance and Krishna's potency. So these desires to dominate and have more and more are there because we're part of Krishna. It says Krishna is our creator, but Krishna has always existed, we've always existed. But temporarily, because we've decided to give up our service to Krishna, we're servants of Krishna eternally, but somehow great philosophical debates and mystical reason behind our leaving the spiritual kingdom and coming to the material world and leaving our transcendental, eternal nature, our immortal nature, and taking on a dress and identifying with the dress in such a way that we're forced to suffer. Because when the dress is, ripped and full of holes, starts dwindling and sagging, and you don't have the mobility that you once had, isn't it? We don't see some of the older people dancing as much as they used to before these. I remember the earlier days, people were jumping high in the air. You take a picture and their feet are 10 feet up in the air. And this enthusiasm is great and wonderful. But the more we serve Krishna, then we'll actually become detached from the body. Prabhupada gives the example of a coconut. You take a coconut from the tree, at first the pulp is very much attached to the shell of the coconut. But right away, once it's taken from the tree, it starts drying up. And after some time, it detaches from the shell, and you could shake the coconut and hear the inside of the coconut moving around because it's totally detached from the shell. So this process of devotional service, of serving Krishna, worshipping Krishna, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, by hearing about Krishna, seeing the beautiful form of Sri Sri Gaurnitai, Sri Sri Krishna Balaram, Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundari Vishaka Devi, and having an opportunity to be in the temple serving is the process of becoming detached from the bodily concept of life. It's described that Vishnu, Krishna, is always on the spiritual transcendental platform. He's always in Vaikuntha, spiritual world. And also, when Vishnu or Krishna is worshipped in the temple becomes a spiritual world. When the devotee with pure consciousness, the pure devotee is serving Krishna with devotion in the temple, he's already achieved the spiritual world. Although we may not understand that or perceive, but the spiritual world is all pervading, it's everywhere. But now we're in the material consciousness. And because of this material consciousness, we're actually suffering and struggling. And to have that realization is great fortune. Brahmanda Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. One who has the mercy of Krishna and Guru, he's directed within his heart. The verse here was Ishvara Sarva Bhutanang Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rani Mayaya. The Lord's in everyone's heart. Krishna's in our heart, and He's guiding us. He's seeing what is your desire, what is it that you want. Sometimes a parent listens very carefully. The child is frustrated, making a big scene. Remember, Ritabaja Swami used to take care of a lot of the youth, and sometimes they'd be frustrated and, Maharaj, I need this, I need that. Maharaj says it sounds like a personal problem, but anyway, he would guide them and enthuse them to carry on. So the child is always thinking and demanding, but the father is listening very patiently, and the mother. They listen very carefully, trying to understand what is it that you want, how to remedy. So Krishna, he's a loving Father, but he also allows us the freedom. So the suffering that we're experiencing, the pain, and all the different tribulations that we go through are actually our own doing because of our desires and our karma and our activities. We're actually suffering or enjoying the results of our previous activities. So now we should stop the activities of trying to be happy and make a permanent settlement in the material world and endeavor with determination, utsahan, nishchayat, daryat, tattat, karma, pravartanat, with great enthusiasm, determination, and patience. Doesn't come overnight. Although Dhruva Maharaj, under the guidance of Narada Muni, within 6 months of performing austerities, chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, here, right here in Vrindavan, in Madhavan, he performed tapasya, which is beyond our capability, Satya Yuga, but he performed such a tapasya that he had darshan of the Lord in his heart. He actually, with eyes, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Velochanena, his eyes, although he was sitting in meditation, he could see the Lord in his heart, and he was experiencing great happiness and great pleasure. It's a pleasure which is far beyond any kind of mundane pleasure of the material world. It's beyond the pleasure of achieving Brahmananda or merging into the spiritual effulgence. It's like great happiness is there, but we're gifted by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada to understand clearly what is the ultimate goal of life. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is the supreme proprietor, supreme controller. Bhoktarang Jagatapasang Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. All our austerities, all our activities should be directed towards the Supreme Person because He's controlling everything, controlling everyone, and Maya Yakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Material nature is working under Krishna's direction and also providing material bodies for everyone. You see, so many human beings here, but everyone has a distinctive appearance, and a distinctive look, and they have certain natures, and everything is very, very finely put together by material nature in such a way that it corresponds with our previous activities and our desires. It's like, what kind of present do you want? And you tell, okay, I'll give you that present. So we don't have to verbalize what we want. Krishna knows what we want. And by our actions, we're getting, our destiny is to get our next body. We're going to be put into the womb of our next mother. And once you come out of the womb, depending on the body you have, if you're a dog, you act like a dog. If you're a monkey, you act like a monkey. Cows, pigs, flies, mosquito, you have to look for a nice person to stick your nose into and suck some blood. So as a human being, if we're acting like the animals, then what's going to be our next body? It's going to be animal body. But if we take this human form of life as a gift from Krishna and Mother Nature and utilize it for devotional service, then like Dhruva Maharaj, he had the Lord's darshan. And Krishna, because of the austerities he was performing, he was choking the whole universe out. And this is because of Krishna's potency. Krishna's manifest, he controls everything from top to bottom. Supreme controller. Then Dhruva Maharaj lost the darshan, but Krishna manifests himself right in front, like that. So Prahlad Maharaj, he's giving us that very same teaching that he received from Narada Muni in the womb, and because he was greatly fortunate to also have a bona fide spiritual master, and he surrendered to the process. Tadviri pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. These are not just shlokas. These mantras are meant to change our lives, because before you can become expert in anything, you have to practice. They say practice makes perfect. Anyone plays an instrument knows. If you want to play your instrument nicely, you've got to practice. If you want to perform devotional service, you have to practice being a servant. That's the whole meaning of tad viri pranipatena. Arjuna and Krishna were speaking, and Arjuna had his opinion, Krishna had his opinion. When Arjuna understood that my opinion is of no value, I need to surrender to Krishna, then he took shelter of Krishna in that same mood. Prahlad took shelter of Narada Muni, because Narada Muni is a representative of Krishna, of the Guru Parampara. And he instructed our whole disciplic succession about the process of becoming deathless. Now that's a goal to strive for. You know, people say, I'm going to work my whole life to become a millionaire. Sometimes people win the lottery. The everyday people are spending $5, $10, $20 on tickets. Okay, so you win the lottery, you got, hundreds of millions of dollars. They usually destroy their lives because they don't know how to deal with it. Material nature is very vicious and very difficult. And there is no real happiness, only a reflection of happiness in this world. But the real happiness comes by the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. But the mind is restless, sometimes difficult to hear that we're servants, but Krishna's arranging for everyone. And sometimes we may not understand, why is Krishna arranging such a fool as my leader, or why can't I find a place where I can be really independent and happy? That will come. But understand that first we have to surrender to Guru, surrender to Krishna, and perform devotional service. And by this devotional service, we can become free from all the sufferings of this life. So this is important, that we utilize our human form of life with seriousness, with determination. Look at our schedule. Look at how we're utilizing our time on a daily basis. Are we hearing enough about Krishna? Are we actually chanting Krishna's holy name? Even though we may not be feeling great emotion on chanting Krishna's name, we know that we have to take this medicine. This is the medicine for this age. Kali Kalir Dharma Krishna Nam Sankirtan. There's no chance of performing the type of austerity that Dhruva Maharaj performed in the woods, in a hut, performing some mystic yoga, or going to the yoga class and looking like a nice pretzel. I mean, these things may help. They may help for health, may help for pacifying the mind, but the real yoga, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmada. We have to perform the yoga of linking with Krishna. And the best way to link with Krishna is to hear about Krishna, hear from Krishna, Bhagavad-Gita, hear about Krishna and Krishna's devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, hear about the Lord's pastimes, His love and compassion for His devotees, how the devotees, one who is really an advanced devotee, he, like the 6 Goswamis, they're even friends to the ruffians and those who are actually jugais and mudhais. They had every opportunity for enjoyment, palatial living, very wealthy surroundings, but they showed by their example that they became renunciates. They renounced what everyone is striving for under the illusion of happiness. They renounced that. They said, there's no need for this. And tyag, tapasya, jnana, vairagya, they cultivated knowledge by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, although they were already very learned. Sanatana Goswami was complaining that everyone thinks I'm so intelligent, so learned, but I don't even know who I am. Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? How do I achieve that goal? So even though one may be very educated and very advanced, still takes a humble position to hear from his Guru Maharaj. The very example of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted him to take the initiation from Gorkishordas Babaji Maharaj, who was illiterate in one sense, but he was a great, great Mahabhagavat. And so Bhaktisiddhanta, he is such a scholar, his philosophy is on the topmost level, but he humbled himself and he was not even accepted. And he thought, how is this? I'm such a qualified disciple, why he should not accept me? I'm so good. So to set the example that no, before the Guru you're a fool. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, my spiritual master considered me a great fool, so this is why I am not qualified to study Vedanta. I was instructed to chant Krishna's holy name. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalu Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. So even if we don't do anything else, we should, but at least chant the holy name. And by this process of chanting Krishna's name, it's like putting a special potion on the hard heart, on the dirty heart. The dirt is leaving Krishna's association and thinking that we're the controller, that we're the top. You see many times they sell number one dad, I'm number one. Everyone wants to be number one, Even in sports, if your team wins, you're so happy. If your team loses, you want to kill everybody. It's such a competitive spirit. So the competition, we're competing with Krishna. No, Krishna's not number one, I'm number one. But we learn by Mother Nature's chastisements and by old age, disease, and we're forced to accept death. Everyone is forced to die. So what kind of controller or what kind of, number one are we? We're number one in the grave, number one meat for the jackals and the dogs. So the body, if we're identifying with the body, will bring us great distress. But if we utilize the vehicle, either we can use a car to drive into a tree, blind with ignorance and kill ourselves, or we can take the vehicle to take us to the temple and see their lordship and go to Vaikuntha. So the body can be either utilized in the material world in a destructive way, wasteful way, or we can actually see that we're utilizing our time, are utilizing our energy in Krishna's service. So this is the teaching here. Prahlad Maharaj is giving great benefit to all his friends, so we should give great benefit to all our friends and associates by reminding them of Krishna and appreciating everyone's devotion and service, respecting those who are senior and befriending those who are of equal caliber and giving mercy to everyone. This is the Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted that everyone give out Krishna consciousness by preaching, by spreading this mission. And the way to do that in a group, a team. No one, you don't want to be on a battlefield all alone. You think, hey, where's my army? Where's all my, who's got my back? Who's helping me here? So we have the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It has many faults, but the attribute is that by working in a positive mode, working on our own shortcomings, and encouraging others to also become enthusiastic, then we have a very strong warriors on the battlefield of Kali Yuga, on the battlefield of Maya. And Maya is Krishna's servant. she very happily would like to release you and give you early parole. Someone who's a prisoner, he's behind bars and he's suffering prison life. But if with good behavior, and he goes before the parole board and says, yes, I've learned my lesson, I will no longer commit these horrible activities, and I'll dedicate myself to your service. Then if the parole board believes you and sees by your behavior, then okay, early release. So we're looking for early release from material life so that we can actually go back to that spiritual kingdom where there's no rivalry, birth, death, disease, old age. There's nothing that we see which the sufferings of this material world. But the spiritual world is a very transcendental place. We hear so many descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam. So many descriptions are there in Bhagavad-Gita. So we should plant that goal in our mind and work in that way to achieve that goal. Hare Krishna. Anyone have any questions, comments? Maharaj, what do you guys say? Peace. Maharaj giving peace.
Hare Krishna. I've always given a nice class, thank you. 2 days ago, my mother, she called me on the phone and she said, when we die, our soul goes into another body. I said, yes. And she said, well, I want to know exactly what kind of body we get when we think about Krishna. And so we get a body that looks like Krishna. She goes, we don't get a cowherd body or a gopi body. And I said, well, we get a spiritual body. And she said, well, I want to know exactly what kind of body we get when we think about Krishna. So I couldn't tell her what to say. I didn't know what to say.
So you've got a pretty, how you say, philosophical mother. Very, very nice. His mother was asking, so when I die, I get another body? Yes. Is it a gopi body or a cowherd body? And what kind of body do I get? As far as in the spiritual world, because everything is absolute, whatever your tendency, whatever, as you're freed from material existence, we shouldn't think, well, it's better to be a gopi instead of a particle of dust in the spiritual world. But whatever body Krishna gives you, and not he gives you, that it uncovers or it becomes manifest. It's just like Krishna's manifestation. Sometimes people want to go to astrologers, they want to know their future, they want to know their past, what was I, what will I become. That's always a very mystifying thing. We should know, as given to us by Prabhupada, that will awaken our original spiritual body, whether it's a gopi, a gopa, a cow, or a flowering tree offering flowers to Krishna. You'll be fully satisfied. It's like trying to explain to a small child about the process of what it means to become, an astronaut or something beyond our capability of understanding at this stage. But we should know, according to revealed scripture, that we will get a spiritual body, everlasting, and it's not like limited. As your love increases, or it may vary, the spiritual body may vary also, but you're still the same person. I don't want to speculate too much about the spiritual existence, because then you might end up on the bank of Radhakund trying to find out your Siddha Pranali, your true identity. But your true identity is a servant. So you can explain that eternal, spiritual, happy life, and whatever you are, you'll be glad you're that. Hare Krishna.
Just like when we are in the world, and by Krishna's mercy, according to our destiny, we come to Krishna consciousness. This is how the Krishna is helping us to come in Krishna consciousness. But many of them, just like in our family or in his family, the family members and this one, they are not in this, they try to criticize of what you are doing is not good, there is one, you should do some job, you should earn money, why you are just becoming mathematical and other things. So this is, I always believe this is our destiny, that destiny brought me in this Krishna consciousness, otherwise I would be somewhere in where I cannot understand where I am.
It's true that from a mundane viewpoint, they feel that we're wasting our time. But from our viewpoint, we understand that the materialist, even if someone who's working full time and builds the Trump Towers, you know, and or build some huge kingdom, and it's completely a waste of time because he's forced to die and put into the womb of another man. It doesn't even know his destiny. Whereas, even if we perform a little bit of devotional service, then we're free from this repetition of birth and death. You know, we're given a chance to continue in our devotional life. So never think that we're the loser. Oh, I spent all my youthful days, I could have been getting a career, I could be making all kinds of money, I could have had a nice family and children, I would have been really happy. There is no happiness. It's all illusion. So even if our family members or friends are criticizing or thinking that, hey, you shouldn't spend your time, waste your time serving this Krishna, you should go out and serve Maya and become happy. We know that there is no happiness. So stay fixed, stay strong, and pray that they also will get a drop of mercy from Krishna and Guru, that they will come to their senses. I've told the story many times. My brother, for 35, 40 years, you know, he thought, oh, you know, you're just serving. But then when he fell into great difficulty and spent some time hearing the Maha Mantra and hearing the philosophy, it's like, oh, I had no idea. And they become devotee. So what is daytime for the spiritualist is night for the karmis, materialists. They're just in ignorance. And when they're out trying to enjoy, we're taking rest so we can actually serve Krishna nicely. No problem. Hare Krishna.
In this chapter, Bhagavad-Gita said that if you want to be happy, then you cannot.
If you want to be happy?
If you want to be happy, then you cannot become happy. It's like a usual materialism. But does it mean like if somebody comes on spiritual life, then want to become happy? So, the same statement for the person is coming spiritual life to be happy, or he will be frustrated, or he will become happy or something.
See, in material life, yeah, I mean, the question, as far as I understand, was that, you know, if a materialist strives to become happy, then he thinks he can become happy. For in spiritual life, if we strive to become happy, are we going to become happy by our desire in spiritual life? Was that correct, or?
Like somebody wants to become happy and join.
Yeah. So the formula, see, we're given a formula, and this formula, it may take some time, just like, you know, enthusiasm, determination, and patience, but by following the order of the spiritual master, and by taking our medicine of chanting and hearing sufficiently, and really looking introspectively at how we can actually get rid of our anarthas, the faith, shraddha, sadhu sangha, keeping good association with sadhus and devotees who are following the process, shraddha, sadhu sangha, anartha nivritti, then all the bad qualities start dissolving away. And so you may think, I'm still not happy, but Prabhupada gives the example, the power stops, the fan slows down, it's still spinning, but it slows down. It will stop. Api chet sudaracharo bhajate mamananya bhak. That even one who may be so-called philanthropist, opening hospitals, charitable, this is all bodily and temporary. It may be good for one sense, but one who is a devotee and performing devotional service, even if he appears to be sometimes unhappy or, undergoing some struggle, that's okay. He's rightly situated, and very quickly, he will achieve the platform of happiness, spiritual happiness. So we have to have the faith, and we have to have the conviction that I'm in a diseased, suffering condition, but I have the best doctor and the best medicine. Srila Prabhupada will pull me out of this cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna. So, no further questions? Comments? Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.